Welcome back to the channel, guys. So today we're going to be working on the washroom, making some big improvements. So let's get right into it. All right, I got the vacuum out, got the sander hooked up. We're using 40 grit sandpaper. That usually lasts about 5 minutes. We'll see how this glue material where they had the tiles glued on, I don't know how that's going to sand. Then do some cleanup because this makes a huge mess. Even though I'm pulling most of the debris out with a vacuum, it still stirs up a lot of dust. Well, the walls sanded pretty quickly. I still have some work to do in the corners. This big sander just doesn't do real well in the corners. So I've got the upper portions pretty much done. The bottom part doesn't sand very well, but it has worked really well by scraping it. I did that in just a few minutes. I think for the most part, I can probably just glue the cork directly to this material. Right, the walls are now scraped. I still need to do just a little bit of sanding. There's my big pile of material that I scraped off the wall. I'm gonna get this cleaned up, get everything prepped to get that little bit of wall material started. Well, I'm definitely glad to have this part done. It is ground, scraped, blown clean, and ready for the wall material now. That is the worst part of this job, is it's so dirty. I had to sweep and mop like everywhere. I'm glad to have that done, but everything is looking good, even though it doesn't look so good. Well, I have the initial coat on. It's going to need at least one more thick coat and then probably a skim coat, especially in these areas where it's really low. And you can see here how this is sloped back that way, but I can't get it too thick or it doesn't dry very well. This already gonna take probably a week to dry completely so I can put my next coat on. I just put the next layer of material on. I know I will have to do another layer, but this got it really close to where it needs to be. Probably be 3 or 4 more days before this dries, and then I will get the final layer on before I can put the cork on. It's been probably over a week now, and all the little dark spots have gone away. I've had a fan running on it for that period of time. So today is time to put the final coat on. This layer is not designed to be perfectly smooth, but I'm gonna try to get it as smooth as possible. And then I'm just gonna put the cork right on top of that. Any little imperfections in the wall, like these little holes and stuff like that, none of that stuff it doesn't really matter. And you're never gonna see any variations in the wall or imperfections in the wall just because the cork is so textured. Now this section over here, I'm not going to do anything above this. Today we're gonna get this ready to put the cork on and then move ahead with this project. coated. Looks pretty nice. But obviously it's not smooth. Just the way this material goes on, it does not ever slick out. It always has this texture to it. So you could do it a little bit more liquid, but then it doesn't really want to stick to the wall. It just wants to just fall. As you wipe it, it just falls off the wall. So there's a specific consistency that seems to go on well. Up here will be a piece of trim that goes from the top all the way to the top of the door frame. So all of that will be behind a piece of trim and is not necessary to just waste material to fill it in. You'll never see it. But we've got this upper piece here done, all this around, and then there'll be the beam that sits on top of this ledge and goes across to the top of that ledge. This corner will be capped off with trim on both sides, you know, like a U-shaped trim all the way around, so that when this dries in a few days, we can start installing the trim and the cork. So I'm gonna be fitting and putting the trim loosely in place or temporarily in place, and then we'll install the cork once all the trim is where it needs to be. So today I was able to get all the trim pieces cut. I'll need to cut them off 15 millimeters for the flooring. I'm gonna take all the trim down, I'm gonna pre-paint it and pre-assemble some parts. I plan on putting the cork in, then doing the trim at the ceiling and getting the cork on the walls down to the last row of cork. So I'll work my way from top to bottom, and then I'm gonna leave the bottom part off because we need to put the floor down, then do the trim that would go around the base, and then finish the cork wherever it would go to. Do the vertical parts as well after the floor is in. I'm gonna sand everything, I'm gonna paint it, I'm gonna get it all prepped and ready, and then when we do the final cuts, we might just have to do a little touch-up paint around where we do the cuts, and then the trim around the base will just need to be installed. Just touch up the corners where it goes together, but it looks pretty good. I got everything fitting nicely and ready to be completely assembled. All right, it's a few days later, and I have put a couple of coats of paint on every piece of trim, and this is all installed properly. I have the one piece of cork up there that was just helping me space the beam. So I still have one more piece of trim to do across the top there. And then I'm gonna start installing the cork on the walls. Now I still have some trim to do at the top, but I wanna get the cork in first and then I'll put the trim up. But then today, I just wanna get all the cork started. Okay, I've got the upper parts fitted the way they need to be on both sides. Now I am ready to glue them in place or put the adhesive on them. I'm gonna mix up enough adhesive to get at least these done. And then what I'm going to do on the walls here, I'm gonna cut them a little bit long. So I know I'll have to cut them again, but I want to make sure that I have the door frame proper before I cut the cork to length. But I'm not gonna be doing the door frame for a while, so I'm gonna cut them a little long, and I'm gonna do that on both sides. I've got this piece in the process of being painted, so I wanna get that installed before I do that back wall. I'm going to start gluing everything on, then I'll put that piece in the back, and then we'll glue the stuff on the back wall. Well, I'm to a stopping point now. I have the cork installed the new electrical outlets, and got them both wired in. I've installed all the trim at the top and above the doors. I still have to put a piece of trim here. I've installed this trim temporarily, so I haven't caulked or done any final work because I'm going to have to do that once I have the flooring and all of the base trim in. Right now, I'm just kind of at a holding stage for this part of the renovation. This corner trim here, I have to finish the wall in the kitchen before I put this trim in. I do have the door cut and ready to install here. And I have a door that I think I'm going to put here. So right now I'm done with this project and I will move back into the kitchen. So I need to finish the other side of the door and this wall. It's gonna be probably a wood ceiling or something like that. We'll get this all prepped and ready. This window and doorway all still need work. So I finished to the corner from the bedroom, and I have the trim ready to go around the door. I just didn't want to put that up yet. And so now once I get all this finished, I'm gonna paint this window white, then we'll finish all this area, and then I can finish the trim around the door and get that all completed. So as of now, the washroom is as far as it can go until I get the kitchen to a further point. So that does it for this video. Come back real soon and we're gonna have some really big improvements. Leave your comments, questions, anything like that down below. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks again for watching, guys. See you soon.